Hi, my name is Robert Kwong, and I am an advisor in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And I am now presenting part two of the pre-orientation workshop. I hope that you have watched the part one. Certainly, you don't need part one before you watch the part two of the workshop, but it certainly puts the information in context. The information covered in the pre-orientation workshop number 2 is basically information that will get you ready for the actual transfer preview orientation day, and also to walk you through what the class transfer transition course looks like, and also a demonstration of transfer prep. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and begin. So basically, in order to get to the pre-orientation exercises, you must have been enrolled in the class transfer transition course. Students were enrolled as soon as they were admitted to the University of Florida. So you want to go to the UFE Learning portal at this website right here to make sure that you have been enrolled in this course. The pre-orientation steps are the only parts that you need to complete at this point in the class transfer transition course. The welcome to class advising, finalizing your academic record, and getting ready for orientation. When you see that you have been enrolled in the class transfer transition course, this is what it will look like on the home page. Now, you're going to see more modules beyond getting ready for orientation, but as a brand new student coming in, starting in your very first semester, either in summer or fall, these are the only parts that you need to be working on. The other parts of the course is for after you started at UF, and those modules are a basic guide to advising to give you information to start with until you are ready to become a student here after orientation. I will hold off on those other modules, but these are the ones you want to focus on, the pre-orientation steps. You would click on each one individually to work on it. And then the welcome to class advising. Two things to focus on: identifying your undergraduate coordinator. Okay. This is your department advisor, your advisor for all of your major requirements. All liberal arts and science students have a minimum of 2 advisors. You have your general advisors. I'm one of them, and we cover your administrative related type questions like adding a minor, adding a second major, what is the drop process if you need to drop classes, graduation information. And then you have your undergraduate coordinator, who is the advisor for all of the requirements for your major. So you want to make sure that any questions relating to your major or courses for your major, internships and research opportunities within your major, you contact your undergraduate coordinator. And then we also recommend downloading and completing the preparing for transfer preview checklist. So these are the 2 main things that you would do for the first module, welcome to class advising. The second module, which is finalizing your academic record, there is a to-do list. Please make sure you complete all the tasks on here if you have not already done so. Okay, such as sending your college transcripts to UF Office of Admissions, your test scores, look at your transfer credit report. There's the video on how to access that. And then review your holds and make sure they've all been removed prior to coming to your orientation and enrolling your classes. Again, there should only be one hold remaining, and that is the transfer orientation advising hold. And once you come here and you complete the rest of the exercises, that hold will be cleared on the day that you attend transfer preview. So you do want to make sure that there are no other holds. Otherwise, even if the orientation advising hold is cleared, you still won't be able to register for classes. Here's some information at the bottom of that module. An overview of what transfer orientation is, keeping in mind that orientation is mandatory. And that is where you'll begin to register for classes. Okay. And it's your opportunity to learn about the requirements for liberal arts and sciences, as well as meeting your department advisor, and all of the other things to help you get familiar with the University of Florida and its resources. Finally, information on transfer appeals. You're required to pursue the major for which you were admitted and graduate within 2 years, a total of 4 fall and spring semesters of attending full-time, keeping in mind that you can also use the summer terms as extra terms to complete your requirements. If you want to consider alternative majors in CLAS for which you meet minimum criteria, we can potentially get your application reevaluated for a different major. Otherwise, you do need to pursue the major for which you were admitted. Otherwise, you can reapply by the deadline for a future term to meet the competitive criteria. Keeping in mind, if you are admitted to a different major than your original choice, you will be expected to complete that major to graduation. If you'd like to change your major or in which you were admitted, or you're not going to meet admissions conditions, you do need to contact Transfer Appeals. This is the email, transferappeals@advising.ufl.edu, and provide the following information relevant to your circumstances. The last module is getting ready for orientation. You do want to, again, do the items on the to-do list, look at the transfer student expectations, but the most important key points to this module is completing the transfer prep exercise, where you report the credits you earned prior to starting at UL and allow your advisors to help you during preview if needed, to determine which courses to avoid because you already earned credit, and allow you to see how your credits apply to the liberal arts and science college requirements, our CLAS basic distribution, which is our fancy schmancy terminology for liberal arts and sciences gen ed requirements, and then the state of Florida requirements. You want also to download the transfer admissions agreement form and complete the form by the deadline in your email reminders about your transfer preview day. Generally, as soon as you have access to this, you want to work on the transfer admissions agreement and submit it, and not wait until you get an email about the deadline. You submit the form to CLAS transfer preview@advising.ufl.edu. The form is in a Adobe PDF format. So you do want to make sure you have Adobe Reader, which is a free downloadable app, and complete it as such in that format, and then submit it from your ufl.edu email account. Okay. Submission of this form and completion of transfer preview prep and attendance to the class presentation and department advising are going to be required in order for you to ensure that you get the opportunity to register for your classes. Again, this is such an important section that we repeated this at the bottom of the third module about orientation. And don't forget, if there are issues that come up regarding your admissions conditions, or if you change your mind about your major, you want to submit an email to transfer appeals. Keeping in mind that if you do change your mind about your major, you are expected to contact transfer appeals and not enroll in courses for the major that you do not want to pursue. If you do end up enrolling in classes and your major has not been changed, you will be expected to pursue the major that you were admitted to, and a change of major is not going to be likely. So it's probably better for you to not enroll at this current time and enroll in a future term if the major that you want to pursue is different than the one that you had originally applied. So this next series of slides is to walk you through the transfer prep. Transfer prep is, again, a place for you to indicate the courses you're coming in with. So that way you'll know what classes that you still have left remaining for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and what courses to avoid, especially if you have some courses in progress that's not going to show up on your transfer credit report. This gives you the opportunity to report those courses so that way you can know what to avoid. The first page is going to ask you to select your major. And then the second part is to determine your transfer status. Are you coming from a state of Florida public institution with an AA degree, or any public Florida institution, okay? Or are you not transferring from a state of Florida public institution? Okay. So you either are coming as a non-public Florida institution transfer, or a public Florida institution transfer. Once you identify those two things, it takes you to this page. Now, for anyone who is coming from a public Florida state college or a Florida public university with or without an AA degree, all that's important is that you identified as transferring from a Florida public state college or a public university. You would then identify, sorry about that again, the courses or the requirements that we call basic distribution. And again, basic distribution is our gen eds on steroids. And that's because it's more than what you will need to earn for the AA degree. Your AA degree probably met a majority of these requirements, but basic distribution requires more. So we do have different categories like composition, humanities, social behavioral sciences, math, biological science, physical science, so forth on here. And you identify the courses by listing the course prefix and number, and then the course title, and then the number of credits. So for composition, and again, if you're coming from a public Florida institution, those course numbers and prefixes will translate, but you do want to look for those titles that have the word composition or writing in it. Humanities, you identify your humanities courses. Some of them have courses listed on here as possibilities, but again, anything that's, if you look at the description, anything that's music, art, English lit, history with the exception of AMH 2020, religion, philosophy, theater, dance, those are all humanities courses, so you can list those accordingly. there needs to be a total of 9 credits. Social behavioral sciences, again, we have some listings here for the state core requirement, and you can list them accordingly. But also note that anything, and again, from the description, psychology, sociology, economics, anthropology, criminology, political science all count in social behavioral sciences. So just make sure you're reading these descriptions in addition to what's listed on here and report the courses. Now, if you're unsure and you think it belongs in a category, it's better for you to go ahead and put those courses here. And then, as I mentioned in the previous workshop, to schedule a pre-orientation advising appointment, and we can confirm if what you had indicated here is appropriate and will meet that requirement. So these are all self-reported. And again, if you have 3 courses in humanities that adds up to 9 credits, then you won't need any humanities. You can avoid the humanities. If you had 9 credits of social behavioral science, and that means it's done. But let's say you only done 3 credits of social behavioral science and 6 credits of humanities, then you'll know that you'll need 3 humanities and 6 hours of social behavioral science. So this really is a guide for you to help you see what you still have left remaining for some of the liberal arts and science requirements. And this section here is primarily designed because on the day of transfer preview, there will not be time for you to meet with a general advisor. So this provides some guidelines. There is time for you to meet with a general advisor prior to orientation. That's going to help you with this through the pre-orientation bookings link. But on the day of orientation, you get at least an hour of time with the major advisor. So you're going to know what is it that you will be taking for your major. So we want to make sure that you have a tool to help you determine what you would need beyond your major classes. Now, if you were someone that clicked the box that said non-Florida or private Florida transfer, keep in mind, then you want to focus on the descriptions. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the presentation. My mouse got a little trippy there. The descriptions is what's going to help you. So you want to look for the words in the title, composition, technical writing, or writing. Anything that has that there, you can safely identify as the courses that you would need for composition. Again, you still need 6 credits. Humanities, you need 9 credits. And again, you're not going to have courses that necessarily meet the requirement, but I did put the course titles. Unlike the previous folks, titles are not needed because these are common numbering. So we don't need to worry about the titles as long as the numbers are correct. So for humanities, ARH 1000 or ARH 2000, they're identical. THE 2000 is the same as THE 1000. Remember, the first, the prefix is the same, and the last 3 digits is the same. It counts as the same course. But for students who are coming from a non-Florida school or a private school, if you had something called art appreciation, theater appreciation, experiencing music, or something similar to that, you can identify those courses here. Otherwise, anything from music, art, English lit, history, religion, philosophy, theater, dance, those are humanities areas. Same thing for the social behavioral science. Focus a lot on the course titles and the departments where they're coming from. Okay, so they're coming from psychology, sociology, economics, anthropology, criminology, political science, for example. then those courses can be safely identified. And of course, if you have completed any of these courses based on the course titles, you can include that in here based on your school's course title, course number, and course prefix. Okay. Once you identify the basic distribution, then you are going to identify the college requirements. So other than basic distribution, all liberal arts and science students must complete a 1 credit hour science lab. So if you completed a science lab, just indicate the course prefix, course number, course title, and then the number of credits that it counted. Our other college requirement is a foreign language requirement. Now, students often confuse this with the language criteria for admission to UF. Admission to UF requires 2 years of a high school language or the same language. That's just to be admitted to the university. Now, if you didn't do 2 years of high school, they're looking for 1 year of college level coursework to meet the language requirement, to be admitted to UF. But to graduate from the College of Liberal Arts and Science with a liberal arts and science degree, the high school credit will not meet that criteria. You need to earn college credit for foreign language. And these are multiple ways in which students can meet that proficiency requirement. If they have a test credit from AP, IB, ACE, or CLAS prior to coming to UF, then that's college credit earned, assuming that there was a passing score on these tests for AP, IB, ACE, and CLAS. Another way that students have met this requirement is they have completed 1 year of an introductory sequence, minimum of 8 credits of a foreign language of the same language prior to coming to UF. So if at the previous college that you attended, you've done a minimum of 1 year of an introductory language of 8 credits or more, then that will meet the language requirement. Another way is if you say that you are proficient in a foreign language, then you can take a proficiency test later when you come here, but you can, for now, say that you meet proficiency by stating that you're proficient. So if you meet any of these particular criteria for meeting the language requirement, then you can check the box, okay? However, if you do not have any college level language and you don't feel that you are proficient enough in a different language, then don't check the box, but you can take the language courses here at UF. 2 courses, beginning part 1 and beginning part 2, to meet the liberal arts and science requirement. The last of our college requirements is that students must complete 18 credits of courses that are not in their major at the 3,000, 4,000 level. So basically part of the liberal arts and science philosophy and goal is to give you a wide range of experiences that are outside of your major. And 18 credits of the outside electives is that opportunity. So you can take 18 credits of random electives for which you're interested in, but it's also the opportunity for you to pursue a second major or a minor. Now, if you are coming from a 4-year university and not a state college, there's a possibility that you've taken 3,000, 4,000 level courses unrelated to your major. Depending on your school, it might be a 300, 400 level, basically junior, senior level courses that are not related to your major. So if you're coming to UF with an AA degree from a state or community college, it's probably unlikely that you will have any of the 3,000 level electives that are met. And that's fine. That's the opportunity that you get here at the University of Florida. Now, there are some 2,000 level courses that can count as 3,000 level. And as long as they are not part of your major department, then they can count. So for example, if you're a biology major, they require organic chemistry and physics, but because organic chemistry is in the chemistry department and physics is in the physics department and not part of the biology department, then those can count. Okay. If you were a physics major, Calc 2, Calc 3, and differential equations is required for physics, but it's not part of the physics department. So Calc 2, Calc 3, and differential equations can count towards the outside elective. You can always ask an advisor during the pre-orientation appointments, and we recommend that you do that, especially after completing transfer prep. Now, this page is completely optional. It's for you to kind of plan for your major. If you want to, you are going to get that advising from your major advisor on the day of transfer preview. But if you like to work ahead, then you can have your proposed schedule reviewed by an advisor prior to orientation during the pre-orientation appointments. There is a link for you to identify critical tracking courses. And then, so that way you can take a stab at what is needed for your major. And then all of the other course considerations, anything that's left over from the class basic distribution, maybe a language, maybe a lab, or 3,000 level elective outside the major. And then once that part is done, then you get this thank you note, and there will be an email sent to you confirming completion of transfer prep with a link for you to see, when you click it, a summary of all those things that you entered. So that's all there is to transfer prep. Okay, you'll be sent an email confirmation upon completion of the prep exercise. Again, it's a summary of what has been completed for basic distribution, what remains, any outside electives, and whether you need a language requirement and whether you need the lab requirement. It's a useful tool for you to predict courses to register, as well as what to avoid registering because you have already earned your credit. So I'm going to do a short demo of transfer prep. So just give me a second here. I'm going to open up transfer prep for you. Not what I was going for. Okay, there we go. So going to the UF e-learning page. Okay, so here's the e-learning page. And then usually you get a bunch of courses. You click on class transfer transition. This is what the page looks like. Okay. And when you get to the getting ready for orientation, You'll see in number 2, complete class transfer preview prep. And there you go, begin here. And I'm going to say I'm a chemistry major and that I am coming from a state institution. Okay, so basically, this is the basic distribution. You need composition, humanities, social behavioral science, math, physical science, biological science, 6 credits of biological, 6 credits of physical. Okay, for the AA degree, you just needed 6 and it didn't matter which ones. But for basic distribution, you need 12 credits, 6 in each. Now, if you have an AA degree, then you do not need to worry about diversity or international. Now, if you don't have the AA degree, then you will need to look at the courses that's needed for international and diversity. And you just type in the courses. So I did ENC, let's say 1101. And I could put in comp 1. And I did ENC 1102. And that's like comp 2. You can abbreviate the titles if you wish. And there are 3 credits apiece. Humanities, let's say I did ARH, I did art appreciation. Okay, and that's 3 credits. And you would just go through your transcript, have your unofficial transcript in front of you as you enter all these courses. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but this is what you would do to enter anything that falls into this category. Okay, or students that are coming from a private school. So I am not transferring the state of Florida. So non-Florida, private Florida. So the courses may be different. So I did comp 101, and there's a biology writing for science. And again, the title is writing. So BIOL 233. And then for humanities, I did like a, let's see, drawing 200. Okay, that's an art class and it's called drawing. And this one is taught as a 4 credit hour course, but there's a studio. And then I did a philosophy 101 course, intro to philosophy. And again, you probably want to do intro. You want to at least put in the title in there. This is intro to philosophy. There's a limited number of characters, so you fit in as much as you can. That's 3 credits. I still need 9, so this only gives me 7, so I might have to do 2 to 3 credits here at UF. So you just fill it in accordingly, but you want to make sure you pay most attention to the description, because that's going to guide you which department courses, which titles of the courses to consider from your unofficial transcript to add in here. Again, use your unofficial transcripts to provide the listing of courses, and then use these descriptions as a guide as to which courses to enter. And then make sure you schedule an appointment with a transfer advisor through that bookings pre-orientation link for the appointment, and we'll review everything that you put on here. Now, because you're from a non-Florida institution and you don't have an AA degree, from a public Florida institution, we do need to look for how you've met diversity and how you met international. And again, you want to look at the description for what determines something as diversity and international. And the key thing to remember is international and diversity are not standalone gen ed requirements. These can be paired with a social behavioral science, humanities, or biological science. And the same for international. So for example, human sexuality and culture. That is an anthropology course here at University of Florida. That is a social behavioral science because it's an anthropology. It's known as a diversity because they're looking at human sexuality in terms of the US culture and what are the definitions and what has been the diversity in terms of what we see as human sexuality. Everything's in a context of the United States. If someone had taken classical mythology, classical studies is a humanities gen ed, but classical mythology is outside of the US, is primarily around the Greek and Roman eras, and we can also, and that's what we think of classical mythology, but there's also Babylonian influences. So because that has an international focus, sometimes intercultural awareness, and is global, then we will grant that international as well as humanities. And again, it's better to fill those in and speak with an advisor to confirm. Okay, regardless of which one that you started with, everyone goes to this page here. And if you had a science lab, indicate the science course that has the lab. Okay, of course, prefix and number, and then a short description, how many credits, and the foreign language requirement. I know both Cantonese and Mandarin. I can speak, read, and write in both of those. So I'm going to say I'm proficient. So I check the box. But if you don't know any of the languages and you haven't met fluency in any of these other criteria, then don't check the box. Okay. And then outside electives, again, as a chem major, I can probably get Calc 2 and Calc 3, but I won't be able to do organic chemistry because that is in the chem department. So I have nothing there. Okay, now I've been messing around with this, so this doesn't really update, but you can, fill in as you need it. And I don't want to plan my first semester necessarily because I want to have a chance to talk to my major advisor. So I have what I entered in my basic distribution. So I don't, I feel comfortable not putting this on here. But again, this is optional for you. And you can choose to fill this in. But if you do check it in with an advisor, just to make sure that you're not repeating something for which you earn credit. And then when you click submit, then I get this message that I completed preview prep, then I'll get an email. Okay, is this the right one? Yes, okay. So that was our demo of the transfer prep. So now, if you are not enrolled in the class transfer transition course, just like in the previous workshop, and you created the Gator Link username and password, and you have a ufl.edu email, please send an email to class transfer preview at advising.ufl.edu. Make sure it comes from your ufl.edu email. Subject line, not enrolled in class transfer transition course. Provide your full name, UFID number, and your major. Okay. Some quick reminders, use your ufl.edu email for all communication. Okay. That's your official line for advising questions to us. Register for transfer preview. Information for that was on the pre-orientation workshop #1. So you may want to review that as a reminder. Request to have all academic credentials submitted prior to your first term at UF. Okay. And then complete all the modules in the pre-orientation steps, So only 3 modules, 1, 2, and 3, at least 1 week prior to your transfer preview day. And if there are any additional questions, you can contact me at classtransferpreview@advising.ufl.edu from your email account. All right, well, thank you very much for watching the videos, and we look forward to seeing you at Transfer Preview.